So, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Claire Banham, and I work for St Helen's Church. I'm their reader, licensed lay minister, but at the moment I'm mostly doing youth and some children's work.
And whereabouts do you do your youth and children's work, apart from at your church?
Well, I have kind of lots of different hats, I suppose. I do quite a lot actually at the church, but we also do stuff in our local school. We're just launching a new messy church. And I also work for a local charity called the 267 Project, and we support local churches with their children and youth work as well.
Fantastic. And so you're a reader as well.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you decide to get involved in youth ministry as sort of part of your role as a reader?
I didn't really decide it, to be honest. I had newly qualified as a reader when we moved to this area, and I took a kind of a break, a sort of step back from ministry for about 6 months after we moved, just to allow the kids to settle in and for me to get to know people to get to know me. And then I was starting to kind of put my feelers out really to think what kind of ministry I'd get involved in. And I just assumed I'd be leading services, preaching in services, that kind of thing, usual stuff. And at the time, there were 6 young people in our parish who wanted to do confirmation. And I was asked if I would do it. Now, I had a little bit of experience of youth work before then. I'd been a volunteer with the church in Uruguay on mission, and worked with young people there. So I kind of thought, oh well, yeah, fine, I'll just do that. It'll be a one-off thing. And we did confirmation preparation for about 6 weeks. I had a lot of fun, and at the end of it, 4 of the kids turned around and said, actually, we want to carry on, we want to keep going. So without sort of knowing about it really too much in advance, we ended up starting up a youth group with those 4 young people, and it kind of just sort of spiralled from there really.
And that youth group, what does that look like now?
So now we have 20 young people, more than that now, 24 young people on the books, and the Sunday evenings, we run our youth group on a Sunday evenings. It's called Impact, and it's for young people who are aged 12 and over. And we, on a Sunday evening, can be anything from 6 kids to 14, 15 kids, depending on who's around. And it's a real mix of kind of fun and games, a lot of food. I found that food is the key, and Bible study.
Now, I'm going to ask you, what are the highs and lows of youth work, but we're going to separate it out.
Okay.
So let's go lows first, and then we can finish with the positive. So what have been the hurdles or the struggles or the things you've overcome?
I think the lows are those weeks when, especially in the early days, when we'd prepare something and then maybe only a couple of kids would turn up, and it was really hard to kind of keep the energy going when it was such small numbers. And I felt like I was a kind of glorified matchmaker, because I'd spend my time like texting people going, well, Michael's coming, would you like to come? And sort of trying to kind of get those, just get it so that the dynamic was right. It's really difficult when you've got smaller numbers. That was hard. I think I still really struggle on a Sunday evening, kind of having done the rest of the weekend, and you're like, oh, come on, I can do this. And yet every time, even though I'm really dragging my bones maybe on a Sunday evening, I get back on a high almost every time. So that's a low into a high, I suppose. I think actually mostly it's just been a lot of laughs, a lot of good fun.
And big highs then, what are the sort of things where you sit there and think, that's the reason I keep going, that's the reason I stick with it? What are the things you've really celebrated over the last few years?
I think about 2 young people that I've made a real difference to. Our ministry's made a real difference to. One is a young person who was actually in that original group of confirmation, and that was sort of 6 and 7 years ago. And watching her journey, and she's had a really tough time. She has developed in that time Tourette's syndrome, and helping her kind of walk through that. And that's a real up and down journey for her, and life is not straightforward, but seeing what a difference her faith makes to the challenges that she faces, and hearing her give her testimony about how Jesus and God kind of makes a real difference to her life. That just is amazing. And then I've got another young person who had no background of coming to church, but her mum died very suddenly and unexpectedly, and she said she wanted to come along to church, so somebody pointed her in our direction, and just again walking with her bit by bit. I mean, we're still, I we haven't come out the other side, and she needs quite a lot of hand holding, but watching her develop a personal faith, seeing the fact that she now gets the fact that she can ask Jesus to help her when she wakes up screaming from nightmares in the night, when she tells me that she knows she's not alone, and she still doesn't understand why God, allowed her mum to die, but actually she's in a place where she trusts him anyway. That's flipping amazing. Yeah. So for me the highs are actually about the people.
And do you think you've built up an intolerance to donuts?
Donuts and pizza. Oh, it's always pizza. It's hopeless trying to keep a healthy diet when you're working with young people. But it's amazing. I found that WhatsApping the young people on a Saturday with a picture of the food we're going to be having on a Sunday night, that makes a difference.
Yeah, right. So that's a good tip. So all our youth work's different. We're in different environments, different sizes, different places, different rooms we have to meet in. So if you were to give maybe 3 tips to someone wanting to start or grow youth work in their church, what would be maybe 3 key things?
I would say probably try not to be scared of teenagers. I think when I started I was actually really nervous, even though I'd had some experience in the past. I think it's very easy to be intimidated by their teenageriness, and actually they're just scaled down people. They're just people, and they really respond if you just treat them like normal human beings. Don't be scared. Be prepared to ask and look around and see who else is going to be, who's got some crazy or some unusual skills and talents that you can just suck in, even if it's just for one thing. For example, we were doing one session and I thought wouldn't it be cool to make bread, so we got somebody in who actually made the bread with us, and we all got hands in and got mucky and stuff. That was great. So who else can you bring in with you? And the third top tip, see what else is going on locally. So through the 267 project, I was able to connect with other youth workers, bring the youth group along to things like Fuel, where they get to see that they're not, even if there's only 5 or 6 of them in a youth group, actually the church is so much bigger than that, and they get that kind of energy and vibe. And there's some great stuff going on with Dean at the Live event and the lock-ins, sort of things like that. So what's bigger that you can join in with, because that's really key.
Okay, it's really helpful. Thank you.